All right, everybody. So, talked a little bit about invoice setup and the setup screens in QuickBooks. Most of that stuff, you have this thing over here that looks like a wheel. We haven't been into this section yet. If you go in here, you've got a lot of information about your company, tools, lists. Most of this stuff you are not going to use. A lot of it has to do with having multiple locations that you're into different QuickBooks, stuff like that. And a lot of stuff the accountants use as well. Um, First one is simply going to be your company's information. You've got account and settings. I'm just kind of showing this to you. All of this stuff can be edited with these little pencils over here to the right for each section. Um, you may want to touch base with accounting or whatever. Whatever the case may be, this just should all be accurate. It's your company email address, your website, your address, which I haven't completely set up for this location because I didn't have phone numbers. Um, I'm doing the navigation bar over here on the left. You've got, this is all of your defaults for for sales. We're in the sales category. So our invoices that we create are due on receipt. That's what everything's going to default to. We don't ship. I turn that button off. If you go into the edit part of it, you can see that I created that custom field for salesperson. That's not a general entry on the QuickBooks invoice, but it's something that I want to print off on the invoice who sold the merchandise. Obviously, there's 5 stores, different people. This is also where you need to turn on your discount field. If this box is not checked to where it's on, that little discount field that we showed that you have to move up to above the sales tax line, it's not even going to allow you to do that unless this one is checked. Service day, all of this other stuff, shipping is all turned off because we just simply don't use it. Products and services, tracking quantities, that QuickBooks will just let you know how many you have of a certain item. As far as quantity on hand, that stuff should all default. And I have not really used any of this other stuff. Expenses, show items, table on expenses and purchase forms. None of that stuff I have ever used. Purchase orders, in order to use purchase orders, you have to go in here and turn this on, or it won't even give you the option to do purchase orders. Payments, we don't use payments in QuickBooks. That's if we accepted credit cards. And that's pretty much everything
I'm sorry, what do you mean? What?
We don't accept credit cards through QuickBooks. QuickBooks has their own credit card processing company that we don't use. This is all related to that. Again, I am going into now custom form styles. This is going to be how your individual invoice is set up. You can go in here and change the design of it. In our particular case, I added the bull to our invoices so it prints off. Content, you can click on each individual section. You see it's changing and highlighting, and it just, anything you want in here, the name, the phone number, the email address, whether you're using estimates, which we do, and then what types of things you want to display on your invoice. That's all that does. And that's your default where you can set up your emails for your purchase orders, for your invoices, so on and so forth. It's just what you want it to default to if you're emailing a customer an invoice. This is something that you can kind of play around with. If you go down here under content to the very last section, this is where you can input different messages that will automatically print out on your invoices that you give to customers. I've got some stuff in here about reviews, and then at the very bottom of the page, there's some information about store policy and delivery questions for the customer with our delivery guy's phone number on it. And then that just all prints
So all
off
that
now.
stuff will automatically print on the invoice that you hand to the customer.
Yep. And again, taking a couple minutes to get all this stuff set up correctly means you don't have to do all of that stuff on a case-by-case basis. So that's just kind of an overview of the setup section in QuickBooks.